We all know that it was Trump that came in. He strong-armed this. We know that it was him. What, like Biden waited 5 days before to broker a deal? So you're just going to wait until 5 days before you leave office to do this? Like anybody believes that? I mean, I guess there are people on the left who believe that, but he wanted the hostages to just like sit and marinate with the terrorists all this time and then wait until like before, 5 days before he leaves office. And he's like, well, maybe I'll do something now. Thumb up my butt.
But this is the deal. This is the same deal that was on the table months and months ago. And that's why I'm very confused about it, because yes, absolutely, Trump was the reason it finally got moved forward, because of course we just heard him days ago saying there will be hell to pay if these hostages are not released. But this deal sucked. And so I didn't really understand Trump celebrating about it. So there's just a lot of angles to this. And then, of course, Jackie Heinrich at that same presser immediately asked when Biden turned around and was about to walk out, so who gets the credit for this, you or Trump? And this is what he said.
Credit for this, Mr. President, you or Trump?
Is that a joke? Oh, thank you.
It's not a joke.
All three of them. Did you see all three of their faces?
Mm-hmm.
Useless.
I mean, and immediately everyone was crediting Trump with any kind of deal. Arab officials said Trump's envoy swayed Netanyahu more in one meeting than Biden did all year. So it was a Biden deal and it was a terrible one. So what Trump did, or what his envoy did to convince Israel that it was a good enough deal, I have no idea, because it doesn't make any sense to me. The concessions that were made were beyond
crappy.
Yeah.
Right. So but the movement forward lies on Trump's shoulders. That had nothing to do with Biden, and Biden's taking credit for it, which is asinine. Absolutely asinine. The fact that he gets to take credit. Shut up, dude. Like, let's just put it this way. If Trump were in office for the past 4 years, this wouldn't have happened.
Yeah.
Just based on this alone, based on the fact that there's movement forward and Trump was the impetus. He was the guy that made that happen, because because of what he said a couple weeks ago. It just shows you that he's the one. There is strength there. And you can tell that makes them a little bit freaked out. Hamas is a little freaked out by that, and that is a good thing.
Well, and Egypt and Qatar, however you say it, they're obviously part of this deal, and we're very, very interested in being in Trump's good graces. That's very, very clear. Here is what Trump then tweeted in a much longer tweet. If you could read this, that would be great.
This epic ceasefire agreement could have only happened as a result of our historic victory in November, as it signaled to the entire world that my administration would seek peace and negotiate deals to ensure the safety of all Americans and our allies. I am thrilled American and Israeli hostages will be returning home to be reunited with their families and loved ones. With this deal in place, my national security team, through the efforts of Special Envoy to the Middle East, Steve Witkoff, will continue to work closely with Israel and our allies to make sure Gaza never again becomes a terrorist safe haven. We will continue promoting peace through strength throughout the region as we build upon the momentum of the ceasefire to further expand the historic Abraham Accords. This is only the beginning of great things to come for America and indeed the world. We have achieved so much without even being in the White House. Just imagine all of the wonderful things that will happen when I return to the White House and my administration is fully confirmed, so they can secure more victories for the United States. Absolutely. Kind of to my point. If he were there, this wouldn't have happened.
It's interesting because it makes me wonder. So he talks about the expansion of the Abraham Accords. The only way that I can see that Bibi would agree to this awful deal is if there was some serious confidence that there was going to be more help from these other Middle Eastern countries, that if there were ever to be another attack, they would put the full weight of their own force against Palestinians, Gazans, Hamas, Hezbollah, all of it.
Against the terrorists. Yeah.
But I don't know, because now again this morning, like they're delaying the vote, and so everything is up in the air. The other thing that happened is that in the midst of Biden giving his farewell address last night, which of course he used that opportunity to also talk about the ceasefire, that was exactly when Bibi was on the phone thanking Donald Trump for his help in getting the release of the hostages, for helping Israel bring an end to the suffering, and etc. And even Biden's own administrative team, parts of his team from the State Department, Matt Miller, that weird looking Dracula guy from the State Department, he even credited Donald Trump in his message or as his
when it comes to the involvement of President-elect Trump's team, it has been absolutely critical in getting this deal over the line.
Wow.
I mean, I would just say, lastly, I don't know if it's unprecedented to have envoys from an outgoing and an incoming administration sitting at the same table negotiating a ceasefire agreement of this kind. But if it's not unprecedented, it's certainly unusual. And we, of course, thank the Trump team for working with on this ceasefire agreement. We think it's important that they were at the table.
Wow, that's pretty big of him. He's probably like, can you give me a job? Because I'm going to need a job. In 4 days, I'm really going to need a job.
Well, that's great that he was willing to give credit Trump and credit and gratitude, but KJP absolutely not. Jackie asked her specifically, just laid it up for her to at least admit, yeah, this couldn't have happened without him. Here's how that went.
Why is it that you seem unwilling to extend any credit to Trump for this deal? Couldn't he just have said, hold off until I'm in office?
What I will say is that what we know to be true, what we know this process, how it has moved over the past 8 months, this is a deal that happened under the framework that this president put forward. And we have talked closely, worked closely, coordinated closely with the incoming administration. And that is how we've been able to get to this point.
We've heard variations of that answer through the briefing, but I guess more plainly, I'm wondering, if you'll just say your view, which seems to be that Trump gets no credit.
I've shared my view. I don't have anything else to share.
You really don't have anything else to offer, which is why we couldn't muster anything.
Yeah,
just go, just go,
That's
lady.
right.
You take your green suit and go. It's hurting my eyes.
Oh my God. Well, and there was another reporter who also pressed her on it, and even said your colleague Matt Miller even gave him credit. Why can't you? At first, KJP was like, I don't know who that is. That was what she was going with, and they were like, he's your literal colleague. We'll show you that clip in just a second. But we also want to remind everybody about our friend Zach Abraham from Bulwark Capital Management. He is doing another one of his fantastic webinars, a live webinar. This is happening on the 30th of this month at 3:30 Pacific. That means 6:30 Eastern. And here are the topics he's going to be covering. This sounds like a real good one. He's going to be talking about the new administration and how it will impact retirement portfolios. He's going to talk about the current state of the market and give an outlook for 2025. And he's giving a full reveal, he says, of how Bulwark is always looking for opportunities to lower risk, lower costs, and give your retirement as much upside as possible, because you only get one, as you know. So if you want to sign up, this is totally free. You can just call 866-779-RISK, or you can just go to knowyourriskradio.com. That's knowyourriskradio.com.
Advisory services offered through Trek Financial LLC, an SEC registered investment advisor. The opinions expressed in this program are for general informational purposes only and are not intended to provide specific advice or recommendations for any individual or on any specific security. Any references to performance of securities are thought to be materially accurate, and actual performance may differ. Investments involve risk and are not guaranteed. Past performance doesn't guarantee future results. Trek 24308.
What he said. Okay, we've got to show you that other KJP video where she just cannot. She's
still green.
She's still green. Yeah, because this is the same presser. Here she is. And this is like, I think at the last tail end of her answer to Jackie, but also like a whole other reporter.
It's been something that has been in the works for months, way before November. That is just how this has worked.
And we're sort of dancing around who gets to take credit for this deal.
No one's dancing around here.
Colleague at the State Department briefed our colleagues that President Trump was critical in getting this deal over the line. Do you not agree with that statement?
I mean, look, I'm not going to speak to a random person. I don't know who this person is. I'm not going to. Oh, what I can say is, look, obviously Matt Miller will speak for himself. What I can say is,
he did.
There are steps that were taken here that is really important and critical, and that started with this president starting a framework that was agreed upon by the world back in May. And that was because of this president. That was because he was able to lay out his thoughts, his thinking on how to move forward with this negotiation. Have we been coordinating and working closely with the incoming Trump administration, their transition team? Yes. And we've been very forthcoming about that.
Okay.
But the fact of the matter is, it took someone who has the experience that this president had to get this going, to get this moving, to understand what negotiations look like. And that's what this president was able to bring to the table.
Really
And it got done under his watch.
It got done under his watch.
Right, I'm sure. Okay. We don't
Okay.
believe you, lady. And they weren't working closely with the Trump team. She doesn't even know who's on her team. Like, just shut up and go away already.